Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. I got another box in the mail. This box is from the amazing, wonderful, inimitable Robert M. Place. Now, if you don't know Robert M. Place, let me give you a brief introduction. Now, Robert M. Place is one of those amazing, multi-talented people. He's a scholar, he's an author, he's an artist, he's a publisher. He does everything beautifully. First off, he's a scholar into traditions of tarot, alchemy, Kabbalah, you name it. He's gone into it, studied it, and he's written about it. Yeah, he's written a very in-depth, deeply studied, but easy to read book, which I highly recommend to anybody interested in studying tarot. This is a very good, if not introduction, middle level, deep dive into tarot, the history, and elements that are included in tarot. Love this book, love it. And he published it himself. So this is one of his publishing ventures. Other publishing ventures and artistic work include tarot and other kinds of cartomancy decks. I have already the Tarot of the Alchemical Magnum Opus, the Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery, and the Alchemical Tarot Revised. So I love his work. I love all of his work. So this time, I wanted to order two of his Lenormand decks, and I wanted to get his new, he calls it a Marseille deck, but I don't see it as Marseille. I see it as a pip deck, but that is a technicality. I eventually decided I wanted to get that deck too. And this box arrived. This box looks like it contains a lot more than that. So let's look at this. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a at least two-part video for this. Now we will open the box and see what's inside. And I'll look at the Lenormand cards side by side with the Game of Hope, which is the inspiration for Lenormand. Yeah? So we'll look at that. In the next video, I'll go into the tarot deck and whatever else might be in here. So friends, if you want to see what's in the box and then do a deep dive into Lenormand, then stick around. I'll turn the camera down. So the camera has been turned down, and this is my plan. I will move the box to the side and I will open it with my trusty X-Acto knife, and I will pull out the contents one at a time so that we can look at them together briefly, very briefly. And then I will zoom the camera in and we'll look at the Lenormand decks in detail for this video. And we'll look at the rest of the contents in detail in a second, or maybe a third, maybe a fourth. I don't know how much is in this box. So I'm very, very excited to see what's in here. Let's take a look. Here I go, and I am now opening the box. And cut 1, cut 2, cut 3, and the box is open. And what do we have? We have a book. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So, was not expecting all of this. First, I have a book. The Burning Serpent Oracle, Lenormand of the Soul, which is wonderful. Wonderful. I wasn't expecting this. I'm very happy that I got this. Because while I do have other books of Lenormand, it's good to have a book that accompanies Lenormand decks for me. What's in the book? Gorgeous cover. Look at the artwork on this cover. Yeah, you can see the whole thing. Good. So this is typical Robert M. Place artwork. And this book is actually by Rachel Pollack, another one of my favorites, my gods of Cartomancy, Rachel Pollack. So, what do we have inside? We have written by Rachel Pollack, 2014. We have a dedication, and we have one page. Oh, just a moment. We have more than one. We have an introduction of several pages, and then we have the cards. We've got, oh, look at this. Oh, that's lovely. We have 2 pages for each card. 1, 2, oh, more than 2 pages. Okay, I'm sorry. This is more generally on the cards. So, the cards in general? No. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay, no, I was right. So, the first card, Hermes, the messenger, instead of the writer. So, what do we have? We have one large image. We have other images. And I don't want to take the time to read this in detail, but look at all of the information here. That is lovely. And then card number 2. And then card number 3. So some cards have other images, so that I suppose explaining how to read cards in sequence, meanings of cards in sequence. Oh, this is wonderful. This is going to be very good to read. And then we go through all of the cards. You can see there's a 36 card deck, and the explanation of the cards alone. Oh, wow. Okay, so here we're getting into spreads. Explanation of the cards themselves goes from page number 20 to page number 213, with a lot of wonderful large image reproductions of the cards in black and white, but that's fine. That's wonderful. Oh, this is going to be a very good book to read. Before I read it, I'm already suggesting it. This is going to be a very good book to read. Okay, what else do we have in here? Then we have the Alchemical Tarot of Marseille, which I will dive into in a separate video. And then we have the Lenormands that I was expecting. One being the An Ukjo and Lenormand, Japanese style. And then we have in this beautiful bag, look at this gorgeous bag, lovely. In this beautiful bag, we have a separate Lenormand, which is the New York Lenormand, which I've wanted to get. I also want to get, there's another American-based Lenormand deck that might have been before this one. This one was published originally in 1882. This is a redrawing, but let's see, first published, in 1882. I think there was another Lenormand deck called the Madam, and I forget her name offhand, but I also want to get that deck as a reproduction. So we're going to look at these in detail in just a moment. There is one more thing in the box, which is, yes, the Burning Serpent Oracle, which I've wanted, and maybe I ordered it. I don't remember ordering it. Now wait a second. Okay, so we have the New York Lenormand, we have the Japanese Ukjo Lenormand, and we have this Burning Serpent Oracle, which is also a Lenormand. Okay, so I see what happened. What happened was I thought I ordered 2 Lenormands, and I apparently ordered 3 Lenormands. So we're going to look at these Lenormands along with my supersized Lenormand in just a moment. So let me get this all arranged for our deep dive into Lenormand. See you in just a moment. So I've got things arranged as best as I can. What I did was I just took the plastic off. And I'd like to start by talking about packaging just briefly. This is what I'm going to be using as my representative, traditional, original-ish Lenormand, the Lenormand, Das Spiel der Hoffnung, the game of hope, which comes in this. This is the supersized version, by the way. This is larger than most Lenormand cards, if you don't know that. Comes in a very nice two-part box with a nice little white book with very good information. This deck was originally published in 1799. Of course, this is a facsimile reproduction. So this is where the Lenormand system comes from, we believe. So that's why I'm using this, even though it's a supersized card deck for our representative or standard traditional Lenormand. Yeah, and this is what the backs of the cards look like. This is the Burning Serpent Oracle by Robert M. Place and Rachel Pollack. Tuck box, a little bit flimsy, nothing to write home about, but the artwork on the tuck box is, you can see, gorgeous, beautiful images of the cards. Like I said, just a tuck box. This deck will probably not be living in the tuck box because it feels like this tuck box will get damaged easily. I'm going to fold this tuck box up and put it in my tuck box storage area. Okay, so this tuck box covered. Now this box is lovely. Robert M. Place has started doing, I think, all of his decks, his tarot decks, in this wonderful box with a cloth cover, and the image for the box on a sticker that he puts on there, and then this box opens like this. Oh, smooth as butter. It's beautiful. A beautiful box, beautiful presentation. And here is the back of the box. Here we have Hermes Publications, which is, and the ISBN number. Very nicely done, very artistically done by Robert M. Place. And even the price looks cute. So the deck is inside this part. Oh, and there's plastic here. I need to get rid of this plastic. But even the inside of these boxes is covered. So Robert M. Place's eye to design is phenomenal. And let me get the plastic off of this deck. Wasn't expecting extra plastic in there. Okay, so just a moment, off camera. Here I am, carefully removing plastic in my way. Okay, here we go. Plastic is now gone. Okay, so here, oh, look at the backs. Look at the backs of this deck. But we also have a nice little guidebook. And then this bag is to die for. I love this bag. It's interesting that, okay. I love this bag. I think I might put this deck in this bag. I'm not sure. This deck would make more sense in this bag, but this deck has a beautiful box that's very easy to use already. So I don't know, but this bag is lovely. It's a muslin with Japanese print, cotton at the bottom. Inside, not spectacularly finished, but very serviceable. Beautiful drawstrings. Excellent bag. Love it. Love it. Okay, so let's look at guidebooks. This deck does not have a guidebook. This deck does. Very simple. Color cover, like that. Glossy. But inside is just a standard cut and dry guidebook for Lenormand. Nothing too special. Oh, except for, look at this image of, in Korean, Gwanam, in Chinese, Guanyin, and in Japanese, I cannot think of it offhand. However, that Bodhisattva image. Love that she is holding the cards in her hand. Very geisha-like image. I love it. Okay, so moving right along. The book for this has a book. I showed you the book for this one. The Burning Serpent Oracle has also a very simple, cut and dry, basic little white book with meanings, a little spread. Yeah, nothing to write home about, especially when considering there is also this book available. Again, this book is available. I'm just saying. Okay, so backs of the decks. Now, the New York Lenormand, I was surprised because this is the back of that Lenormand deck. At first, I thought all of my cards were blank. I thought that he had sent me an unprinted deck. But then I turned them around and I noticed the images. So this is the back of this is what the back of these cards looks like. The back of the, and I'm going to keep having trouble pronouncing this, the back of the Ukjoe Lenormand, the back of the Game of Hope, and the back of the Burning Serpent Oracle. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I love the artwork on this. I love this character. My ability to read this character has disappeared. So maybe I'll find it and I'll put it in the description below later. Okay, so these are the backs. You get it. These are the fronts of these decks. Here we go with Hermes the Messenger, the Rider. Oh, by the way, this deck is gilded. The other decks are not edged. This one is gilded. And here we have the Rider for the New York deck. So you can see that we've got all of these decks, the Rider going off to the right instead of the left. Yeah, we've got a playing card insert for this deck and this deck. We have playing card indications on the Burning Serpent Oracle. Here you have 9H. The color is red, which is helpful. That's wonderful. So the Rider. I love this Hermes figure. I love it all. I love it all. This is a very traditional looking Rider, right? Here we go with the Clover. Oh, I'm sorry. My Game of Hope is out of order. I thought it was in order. Just a moment. So as it turns out, this deck came from the publisher in a very interesting order. Now, the cards were ordered in a very odd way. For example, 1 through 19 were in order, but between 1 and 2 there was 20, and between 2 and 3 there was 21, and between 3 and 4 there was 22, for example. Yeah, that wasn't exactly the way it was divided, but you get the idea. So here we go with the Clover, and here we go with Japanese Clover and the Clover. Lovely, lovely. Now, frankly, this will take some work on my part to remember that this is Clover without looking at the title. However, the title is easy to read, right? These decks are all on the largest size. Will be a little bit difficult for a grand tableau. You need a lot of space for a grand tableau for all of these. This one would be a little bit easier. Here we go with 3, the ship, the ship, the ship, the ship. Okay, so Robert and Place's decks, the ships all go to the left, and the Ur goes to the right. Just so you know. But remember, in Lenormand, a house is a house is a house is a house. Yeah? A ship is a ship is a ship. Directionality can be important. But as long as the deck is consistent, whether the ship is going to the left or to the right, I read it according to the image on the deck, not trying to remember what the original cards say. So here we have the house on the hill. Yeah, look at this house, looking a little bit like a tower if you're not careful, especially since there are no titles on this card. Here we have the house and the house, more like a mansion. And here we have, oh, look at that tree, the flaming tree, the tree. Now, again, in Lenormand, we don't look at, oh, well, this tree is brown. This is more of an autumn tree, so that must mean it's the end of a cycle. It must mean it's preparing for death and rebirth. We don't think of any of that stuff with Lenormand, right? With Lenormand, we say that is the tree. This tree has two different sides to it. Now we have a spring and a spring. We have maybe a fall harvest, but it's the tree. Yeah. Oh, look, there's a city back there. I wonder what that means. It's the tree. Okay? So, 7 of hearts. Okay, here we go with the clouds. Now, the clouds are read with direction by me and many people. There's a light side and a dark side. And for me, on Robert M. Place's, well, no, I don't see them as consistent. So for me, this would be the light side, this would be the dark side for this deck. However, instead of the right being light, here the left is dark. I'm sorry, instead of the left being light, the left is dark and the right is light. Here I would put, again, the dark side on the right, the light side on the left. This card, I don't know. For me, I guess I would say most of the light seems to be coming from this side. So the light would be on the left and the dark would be on the right. Interesting, interesting. Okay, so here we go with the snake, the burning serpent. Whoa, wait a second. Did I pick up 2 cards? I picked up 2 cards. Okay, so here we go. The snake. Sorry if I shocked you. Here we go with the snake. Beautiful cards. Look how this snake is winding around. Yeah, this snake is also winding around. I like it when a snake is winding around, to remember that winding path, things having twists and turns. I also like to think of the snake as being transformative. So having this snake in the fire also would remind me of that transformation. I also like when some snakes show the snake shedding its skin. Now, if you've got a thing about snakes, there are some decks that will help you with that, but most standard Lenormand decks show a snake. I hope you're okay with that. Here we go with the coffin. Now you can see that with the burning serpent oracle, instead of a coffin, we've got a dead tree. However, we've also got a dead body. Yeah. Coffins can sometimes be read directionally as well. Yeah, the large side being the cut-off side, the other side being the tapering off or the transformative side. Some people see the coffin in that way. I sometimes look to see if there is meaning if I try to read it that way, but I don't always read it that way. Here we have a large and short side, easy to see. Large and small side, easy to see. Head and feet, we can see that. We get the same thing here. This one's going to be more difficult to see. Which is, where's the head, where are the feet? There's no wider side or shorter or thinner side. So I guess you just have to make a decision. Most coffins go from left to right, so just remembering that would help. Here we go with number 9. Number 9 is the bouquet. And here we have a bouquet. Now remember, you need to know the titles or the names for the cards for the New York Lenormand. There aren't any titles here. There are titles on the Burning Serpent. There are titles on, whoa, again, I've taken 2 cards, I think. Yes, I have. Okay, so these cards are like to stick together right now. The bouquet, the bouquet. This one doesn't have a title, this one doesn't have a title, but if you've learned Lenormand, there are only 36 names to the cards, yeah? Remembering that this is a bouquet is not such a challenge once you get it into your head. I like that this one is in a vase. I like that this one has even though they look like they are the same flower, they're not lilies. Can't confuse them with that. Yeah, I like bouquets to have a variety of flowers personally because there is the lilies card, and some decks make it a little bit confusing. But I see no confusion here. Okay, so here we have the scythe, the scythe, the scythe. Now scythes are read directionally, and it looks like all of the scythes are basically pointing the same way. Yeah, we have the sharp end here, we have the stick here, we have the sharp end here, here, and here. Now this one, I prefer having a scythe that goes sharp end one side, blunt end on the other, rather than top and bottom. So I'm not sure how I will read this, whether I will say that this side is getting cut off and this side is being prodded. Maybe I'll keep with that. But yeah, the scythe. One side is being cut off or harvested. One side is being prodded. You can read it that way directionally. Yeah, and we can get that in all of them. I like that in the Ukjo Lenormand we have Daikoku, but we also have the English beside, which helps me, which will help us, I believe. Okay, here we go with card number 11. Now, here we have some variation, right? Sometimes it's a whip, sometimes it's a broom, sometimes it's a rod. So, in this card, it's definitely a whip, it's a cat of three tails, which is sometimes also has nine tails. Cat of nine tails is also a common thing, but this is a cat of three tails, a whip. Yeah? This one looks like a broom to me. This one is called the rod, but looks like a whip to me. And this one looks like a broom. Sometimes it really is just a rod. But here I see whips and brooms, which are both things that are repetitive, can be argumentative. In the French people who read from the French tradition, this can also be sexual intercourse. I don't like seeing it that way. I prefer the German system where lilies can also mean sexuality. I don't like associating whips with sex, personally. That's just a thing for me. So, it's just a not my thing. Here we have the birds. Now, it's good. The first one has only one bird, which actually I prefer seeing more than one bird. I like seeing two birds because communication is part of it. Nervous energy is also part of it. Pairings can also be part of it. So I like this one. This one reads easier for me than these other ones. This owl having a mouse in its mouth could be a little disturbing. Yeah, the owl doesn't look very nervous. The mouse, I'm sure, is. Is this communicative? I don't see communication very easily in this card. Yeah, whereas I could see it in these other ones. So this card would take a little bit more thought on my part. And okay, so here we have, instead of the child, we have some variations here. Yeah, we have the child, a little girl child, lovely. We have a child. Girl child looks like a boy child to me, but gender is not totally specific. Still, at this period, this would be a boy child, I believe. Here we have a child, a mother and child, but definitely we can see it's a child, right? Interesting that the child is holding an axe. But this is a traditional Japanese haircut for a child. This child is perhaps a 1-year-old child. Yeah, and here we have girl and boy, which is a good variation to not having one but having both. Okay, to me, gender is not necessarily one or the other. However, having both in one card can be helpful for us. Here we have the fox, the fox, the fox, the fox. Okay, interesting. This fox makes me laugh. This fox looks like it's sniffing the chicken's butt. Kind of like a dog sniffs another animal's butt to see what's going on. Yeah? What's up with this chicken? Not I'm ready to eat the chicken, but what's up with that chicken? Why isn't it running away? What do I smell in its butt? Okay, moving right along. This fox looks very clever. Does not look so, I don't know, on the hunt to me. Looks like a very thinking outside of the box kind of fox. This one looks like it's on the hunt. This fox, I don't know. This fox looks very playful to me, which is interesting. And this fox also looks like it's on the hunt. It's stalking something. Okay, and then we have the bear. Okay, now I wasn't sure I would like the Robert M. Place's drawing of Japanese images. I'm actually very happy with it. I'm very happy with the way he rendered the Japanese images. I'm not Japanese, but I have lived in Japan, and I have exposure to Japanese culture, also living here in Korea. And while I am not Japanese and I am not an authority on Japanese art, this art makes me happy. It doesn't feel like it's, what do we call that? When we take someone else's culture. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like, not acquisition. Sometimes words just don't come out of my brain. But you know what I mean. When we take someone else's culture and we use it for our own. I don't get that feeling with his art. However, his normal, common art style is my favorite. And here we have the bear. Okay, moving right along. Moving right along to the star. To the star. And in the star, interesting, very, very interesting. Very traditional stars. Yeah, the New York deck is a very traditional deck. Here we have a star in the clouds, through the clouds, I should say. And here we have the stars. Now, this one can be a little bit difficult. So, in a large spread, if you were trying to see this very quickly, this might be difficult to find. Because what I see here is not a star, but a figure, a person holding a sword. And there aren't many people holding swords in a traditional Lenormand. So, I'd need to look for the title of this one until I really got this deck memorized. And here we have the stork, the stork. It's wonderful that this stork is in flight. I like storks that are moving because a stork is a card of change, yeah? Change from one thing into another, an improvement, but a change for the better. So I like storks that are in flight. And I like sometimes reading directionally, change from what into what. We can see if that would make sense in a reading. If we can see that this stork is indicating a change from this thing to this thing. We can still see that in these cards, but it's nice to have a stork in flight. Okay, so here we go with the dog. The dog is the hound in this deck. And here we have the dog. Now, I would prefer not to have a human in the dog card, but you can see loyalty, friendship here. I mean, that relationship, which is the dog card, is indicated here. But again, I usually prefer not to have extra humans in my cards. But that's not a big problem, right? We got the titles. We got the title of the hound. Look at this hound. That is a gorgeous hound. Okay, so here we have the tower. And for those of you who are not Lenormand readers, remember the tower is not the same as the tower in tarot. Here's the pagoda. Now, this is not a necessarily negative card. This is a neutral card. This is a card of perhaps isolation, or this could be a card of institutions. It could be a card of learning, of learning institutions like a university or a large corporation. Now, it's not necessarily a negative card here. It can be very positive, depending on the cards that are around it and the question being asked. So here we have different towers. Very similar. I can see tower in this very easily. This tower could, I don't know, this has a lot of structure attached to it, which could be a little bit confusing until we actually zoom in on the, okay, this is 19, this is the tower. Okay, so moving on to the garden. Oh, look at that. Look at that, the garden, the garden. Now this is just a little confusing for me, but let's look at this. These are definitely gardens. Definitely gardens. This card is definitely, and is not such a cultivated garden, but looks like someone's personal garden in their personal backyard with some fruit trees and some flowers. It doesn't look very manicured, which is great. It's wonderful. But most generally, gardens in Lenormand are the 19th century or 18th century groomed gardens from Europe. So that's why we usually get this kind of garden. And this card could be confusing to me because these look like they could be, and I'm sure they're not lilies, but they remind me of lilies in a way, of a kind of lily, a water lily. So this could confuse me briefly. But here we do have a garden in the background. So yes, good, very, very good. Mountain, 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 mountain. This deck sticks together a little bit. Here we have the mountain. So what do I like to see in a mountain? I like to see a path around the mountain. I like to see the difficult side and the easy side. So in this deck, we can see, because the mountain is an obstacle, we can see that there is a path around the mountains here. So we could see what is the easier way. How can we overcome the obstacle, maybe on this side? We can see a path in this one here, yeah? This path shows us perhaps how we can overcome the obstacle on this side. Maybe I could see a path or an easier path this way on this card. Looks like to me, I would say that the easier path would be this way, and the solution to the obstacle or the way around the obstacle would be this card, I suppose. Okay, so moving on to the path. Now, what I usually like to see in a path is at least two directions. Unfortunately, in the New York card, we only have one direction. I like to see crossroads. And it's interesting that we do have this indication of, well, I don't know, that's so strange. That is so strange. Both hands seem to be pointing in the same direction. I suppose we could say this way and that way, even though we don't see the path going that way. This arm seems to be pointing that way. So we could, I suppose, read the paths as the choice of going this way or going to this card, going to this card or going to this card. For this path, I would say that we're coming from this side and the path leads to either this card or this card as the choices. Similar to this, we're coming from here and the path leads to either this card or to this card. And the same here. So this card would require a little bit more work on my part. And it's nice to have cards that don't require so much work. Yeah, it's nice to have a card that says, okay, that's the path. Oh, there are the directions. Boom. Okay, so here we go with the mice. And the mice can also be read directionally. The mice. Here we have the mice. Now, in this card, it's very easy to read. Yeah, the mice. The mouth eats away at things. The tail side, where the dung comes out, dirties this side. So the card on this side is being eaten away, it's being lessened. The card on this side can be read as being dirtied or sullied or being made less positive. This is very easy to read. This is very easy to read. Mouth on this side, tail on this side. Now this deck requires a little bit of attention because we have 4 mice and they're not all pointed in the same direction. What I would do is pick the foremost mouse and say that this side is being eaten away and this side is being dirtied. This one is really difficult. They're all helter-skelter. So What I would do, I guess I would pick the card in front. I have the mouse in front. This looks like the foremost mouse, and say this side is being eaten away and this side is being dirtied. But I don't know if I would be able to remember that consistently. These cards are going to be much easier to read than this card, as far as directionality goes. The heart. Good. Here we have heart. Heart. Okay. So, is this the heart? Is it the flower? Is it the bouquet? Without looking at the title, this could be a little bit confusing. However, if you know this is heart in Chinese, Japanese, Korean. The Sino, I don't want to call them Chinese calligraphy, because while they were developed in the area that we now call China, they're not only Chinese. And the calligraphy, the characters that are used by China in modern times is not the same as the traditional or the original characters. And the characters that are used in Korea now are the same as the traditional or older Chinese characters. And I believe Japan also uses the older version, the more traditional version of these characters. So, are they Chinese now? It's hard to say. So, these are Chinese, traditional Chinese character-based characters. And this one is for the heart. Shim in Korean. Looking at this, I would know. But just looking at these flowers, would I immediately think heart? I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the title. Here we have, let's see, we have a heart here. Very easy, very easy. This one could be a little confusing because of the flower. That flower is a little distracting. I'd need to remember that it's not the flower, it's the heart. Okay, here we go with the ring now. Ring is for contracts. Could be marriage, but marriage is also a contract, right? It's for contract. It's also for circles. Yeah, easy to see. Very easy to see. Very easy to see. This one might take me a moment. I'd need to look above at the title because this looks like a house to me. So, again, this image would take a little bit of remembering. However, yeah, it's a ring. It's definitely a ring. And here we have the book. Now, the book can also be read directionally. And I sometimes do read it directionally, not always. It depends on the deck. It depends on the spread. I look to see if it makes sense. So the book, lovely books. I love this book being more traditional Japanese style book. Now, what is the directionality? Some people read the book as the binding side being a closed secret, the open side being a secret that might be revealed. So a closed book for some readers is better than an open book. However, you could still see that the binding is more on perhaps on this side and the opening is more on that side. You could read it that way. Now, books can be secrets. They can also be knowledge, information. They could be study. So in this card, we see more of the study than the secret idea, right? This book looks more like a book of secrets, of alchemy, perhaps, or maybe tarot. This looks like a devil card to me. So this is more of an arcane study book. This book does not, I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't read these characters very easily. Okay, so moving on from the book to the letter. I love that this letter has an address on it. Okay, so this letter is hard to read for me. Is it the woman card? Is it the letter card? Can't tell right off the bat. Need the title. These letters are very easy to read. There are no humans, it's just a letter. I like that this letter has a stamp on it, an address. M.A. Stoker, Brunswick, Maine, P.O. Box, box number. I'm going to have to check to see who this M.A. Stoker is. I'll bet it's in the book. Interesting. And it's interesting that this also makes me think of a homing pigeon, but if this has a stamp and a stamp cancellation mark, why would it need a bird? Okay, moving on from the letter. Here we have the man card. The man card. The man card. Very easy to tell that this is the man card. Now, I like it when the man and the woman cards face each other. I also like it when there are a variety of cards to indicate significators, like two men cards, two women cards, or a man card, a woman card, and a partner card, for example. There are some varieties. In the traditional deck, there are only going to be a man and a woman, and they face each other, which is my favorite. Let's see what we have here. We have a man and a woman. Okay, good. So in the Burning Serpent Oracle, what do we have? We have two men and two women. Yeah? We have a woman and a woman, 28, 29. Now, I like this because sometimes they put both men in 28. So if you want two men, you have to take out the 29s, which then can get a little bit confusing. But here we have two men at 28, 29, two women at 28, 29, and they're facing each other. I like that. And we have the card inserts, the correct card inserts for both. Yeah, we have the Ace of Hearts man and the Ace of Spades man. So this is probably my favorite variation of the additional cards. Let's see what we get in the New York Lenormand. New York Lenormand, we get a man card and a woman card only, which is the way the original deck it was. The woman card we can see facing the man. It's not so easy seeing the man facing the woman here, which is a little bit unfortunate for me. I like them when they're facing each other. What do we get in the Ucto et Lenormand? We have the man. We have the woman. They're facing each other. And that is all. Okay, so we just have the man and woman facing each other. That's fine. Because, frankly, you don't have to read gender into the cards if you don't want to. For example, well, half and half. For example, you can, in a reading, say to a woman who is in a relationship with another woman or is looking for a relationship with another woman that you are 29. Your partner is 28. We're not going to focus on the gender. Or, again, the man is 28. If you're reading for a man, their partner is 29 no matter what the gender is. Yeah? Kipper does the same thing. So that's another way to read. Just saying there's another, there are possibilities. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so, did I just lie? I just lied. So for the Lenormand cards, we had, oh no, I didn't lie. No, this is right. Okay, so I'm back on track. I'm sorry. Just a little bit of a brain malfunction there. Okay, here we go. The lilies. Now, instead of lilies, we have lotuses. Just need to remember that. Not a big problem. Here we have lilies, here we have lilies, here we have lilies and a woman. I would rather not have a woman in the lilies card, personally. But we got the title. We got the title. We can see that these are lilies. But then there are other flowers here. So, I mean, that it gets a little bit confusing. So, I prefer a deck that just has lilies on the lilies card, but this artwork is gorgeous and I'm going to use this deck. I'm not saying I'm going to get rid of this deck. I love this deck. I just love it, love it, love it, love it. The sun. Okay, here we go with the sun. Lovely. Easy to read. Easy to read. A little bit more difficult. I mean, this is Apollo. You can remember, oh, Apollo sun. Yes, of course. This one is much more difficult to read. Is it the woman card? Why is this the sun card? Yeah, need to look at the book. Let's see if let me look at the book for this one. Let me look at the book for the sun card, because this is probably a sun goddess from Japan, Let's see, the lotus, the sun. Amaterasu. Amaterasu is the goddess of the sun and the principal Shinto kami. Okay, so yes, like I said, this is the goddess of the sun in Shinto, traditional Japanese religion. However, you need to remember that. You need to memorize that, right? Which is not a big deal, but it just takes some memorization, some brain work. And here we have the moon card, and this is, I'm sure, the moon goddess. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the name of the goddess right there. There's the name of the goddess right there. And here we have the moon, Diana. I can figure it out. But again, it would take a moment, take a second. Where's the moon card? Here's the moon, very easy. Here's the moon, very easy. Need to look at the title until I memorize that this is a deck with goddesses for the sun and the moon. Okay, here we go with the key. Okay, no, this is a key. I recognize this is a key from some Japanese boxes that I've had in the past. Yes, that's a key. Those are keys, very easy to see. Here we go with the fish. Now, I usually prefer to have more than one fish in my fish cards. Just saying, because it's abundance. And having just one, although, okay, this fish has a coin in there under their arm, so abundance. You can get it. I can get it. Here are fish here, very easy. Fish here, very easy. A fish here, but it's a big fish. This guy looks like he's very happy. Looks kind of abundant, I guess. I can remember that. Here we go with the anchor card, the work card for me. The anchor card. Very easy to see. Not a problem at all. Okay, and here we go with the the cross, I'm sorry. Now this one is a little bit difficult. Will take some memorization, yeah? Because right off the bat, I don't see a cross. However, the cross is not an image in Japan. I mean, Christianity is not traditionally a Japanese thing. So, having this clan image, which I believe it is, this is a clan image from Japan, which has a kind of cross in it. We can get it. It helps. Okay, so this is card 36, the last card. 36, the last card, the last card. There are extra cards here. There are Osiris and Iris in this deck. So we have an extra set of cards, and we can put... Interesting that this is 37 and 38. I would have said 38 and 39 to replace the man and woman card, which I believe is the idea. Yeah? Because, look, we have the Ace of Diamonds. Okay, no, it's the Ace of Diamonds, not the Ace of Hearts. Okay, let's look at the man card. The man card is 28. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, what am I saying? 37, 38. Again, I'm sorry, brain malfunction. Because these could be man and woman cards to me as well. So I'm not sure how we would use these in a deck, but they are a couple, they are a pair, right? They're husband and wife, they're also mother and son, but that's Egyptian mythology for you. But they're also partners. And they also have a black suit and a red suit here. So, interesting. You might also be able to read these as man and woman cards instead. Interesting. Gorgeous. The artwork on this deck is gorgeous. And let me say that the card stock is also wonderful. It's a thick, very bendy, but matte cardstock. It's lovely. The cardstock on the New York Oracle is more cardboardy. I'm not sure how it's going to shuffle. The sharp edges, I might want to take a corner rounder to them, but I've left sharp edges on my facsimiles of Tarot de Marseille, so I might just leave these corners on them. The cardstock for the Ujo et Lenormand is also matte, beautiful, easy to shuffle, thick enough. It's not going to bend very easily if you riffle shuffle it. It's going to work beautifully. Okay, so friends, what do you think? What do you think of these Lenormands? Do any of them strike your fancy? Do you love Robert M. Place's artwork as much as I do? Do you read Lenormand? Let me know in the comments below. And hit the like button if you feel inclined. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and hit the alarm button, alarm bell, I should say. And also share this with other people who you think might be interested in these decks. And some people who might be interested in learning to read Lenormand, or people who already read Lenormand and you think these might be good decks for them. So pass it along. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.